YouTube, my name is Heather. This video is going to be how I set up my new bullet journal for 2022. The notebook that I'm going to be using today is from Notebook Therapy. It is this beautiful deep maroon color with mushrooms on the cover. It is a B5 size journal. It has an elastic closure. It also has a pocket in the back, and it came with this cute little mushroom page marker clip that I absolutely love. The paperweight is 160 GSM, and so far I'm really impressed with this notebook. You'll see later in this video I paint quite a bit of watercolor on this paper and it does not bleed. So I'm really excited to be using this notebook this year. I don't have any specific theme that I am aiming for in setting up this new bullet journal. I'm really just letting my creative chaos take reign. You'll see I am desperately trying to stamp the inside of this notebook with this cursive script stamp, but it is just not working, and I think the cover of the notebook is a little bit warped. But fret not, we will continue stamping until we make this work, and I am pretty pleased with how the end product ends up looking. And this is the final look. It looks kind of similar to the test paper look that I was going for. This is going to get covered up anyways with a folder I'm going to put in here and some images. So let's keep going. This year I'm trying something completely new and putting a small folder on the inside cover of my journal. This is going to hold my grid spacing guide and some other sheets of paper or layouts that I don't want to dedicate specific pages to in the beginning of my bullet journal. This template is something I made with my Cricut. However, it would be super simple to make if you don't have the pattern or a Cricut machine. It's just a 12 by 12 piece of paper cut with tabs and folded into this envelope shape. And as you can see, these smaller A5 pieces of paper fit in there perfectly, which is exactly what I was going for. And now we're just putting some glue on the back of this folder and sticking it on the inside of the cover. I didn't want to do any drawing in these first few pages of my bullet journal, so I'm using mostly images, clip art, things from some ephemera packs I got from the craft store, and some stickers to decorate the inside of my cover and the first few pages. It really does take me quite a bit of time to figure out how I want these images arranged, in what groupings, with what colors, in different locations. But to me, that's almost the most fun of putting a bullet journal together, is really getting to create something that speaks to you and inspires you and is something that makes you smile when you flip back and look at it after you've finished it. I was also really drawn to the small quote on the greenhouse image that says, "Look at you grow." This really spoke to me as I look forward to 2022 and start thinking of all the ways in which I will challenge myself and grow in the new year. I finally decided that these are the images I want to glue down for my cover page. I also want to add in this really awesome wax seal that I got from Hippie Post. However, I feel like that would make my first page really bulky, and considering how much I want to do in my bullet journal in the first 6 months of the year, we want to avoid bulk in the beginning as much as we can, so I end up nixing that. But how cute is that wax seal? I want the first page of my journal to be my 2022 title page, including a quote that says, "Believe in the magic of new beginnings." I've had this really awesome large square leaf stamp for at least a year and I haven't used it yet. I don't have an acrylic block to put on this, but that's okay because we can make it work without it. And I'm just testing it on a test page to see how it works and to make sure I won't screw up my journal page. But a little bit of foreshadowing here. You can see things are going to go horribly wrong with this stamp in just a few moments here. I should have predicted how this would go, considering the stamping in the front cover was also a bust, but I didn't. At first, I think I can fix this by using a little bit of gold watercolor, and in theory this would have worked great because I could still see all of the stamp outlines, but I slowly realized that this would take forever, so we have to come up with a plan B. Or maybe this is even plan C. Anyway, the test stamp that I did to ensure I wouldn't screw up this page turned out fantastic, so I decided that I can just stamp on this and use this as my quote page. We'll cut it out and layer it with a few other pieces of paper to make it aesthetically pleasing and cover up that mistake we made. One thing I can't stress enough for anyone who may be new to bullet journaling is that mistakes are going to happen and you're going to screw up your bullet journal pages at some point in time, no matter how hard you try not to. And you shouldn't sweat this or fret it because it's just a natural part of the bullet journaling process. I used to get so frustrated when I would make mistakes or screw up, but I feel like I've really grown in the past year of bullet journaling in that I am pretty good at covering things up and pretty good at switching gears when things just don't work out the way I want it to. I just love this quote of trusting the magic of new beginnings, and I feel like it's really fitting for 2022. As the past 2 years have been very challenging and uncertain, it's hard to really have any faith that 2022 is going to be a great year. However, I'm dedicated to trusting that it is going to be a great year, and we're going to make it a great year together. Right now, I am flipping through this old book that I picked up at an antique store. It is written in German, and I love the cover and I love the aesthetic. So we are ripping this up to fit the page, and we are just going to layer this with our quote to not only cover up our mistake, but just to make our page a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And you can't even tell we made a mistake on that page. Nice job. For my 2022 title page, I thought having a silhouette of the year would be a really awesome look, and I wanted to use my glittery gold watercolors to kind of create all these dots and create a silhouette effect. So we're going to speed this up quite a bit and you'll see me jump around, but right now I'm just making dots all around this 2022 that I have written on the paper, and I hope you guys like what this looks like. So far, this is all just using one shade of gold watercolor, and I am loving how this looks, and I think it really did achieve that silhouette look. I did have a lot of pencil marks, and you can't even really see them because the paint covered it up really well, and look how sparkly it is. Now I'm going back with a slightly darker shade of gold just to add some more depth to the silhouette look and just add a little bit more flair. And now we're going to add a third shade of gold and eventually a fourth shade of pinkish silver to really round out the depth of this silhouette. We are now on day 2 of prep for our 2022 bullet journal, and this is our finished look of our 2022 silhouette. I decided to go in and add some black dots just to add a little bit more contrast, but all in all, I am really loving how this turned out, and I think the black really adds just a little bit of zing to finish out our look. At the very last minute, I decided to add some stamps to this page that says, "Let's keep going." Yesterday, after I stopped recording, I decided to take a spin class that was for the new year, and the motto of that class was "Let's keep going." It really spoke to me, and I felt like it fit in perfectly with the quote of trusting the magic of new beginnings. So I wanted to add it here as a reminder to always channel the feeling of trusting in new beginnings and keep moving forward. And this is the page finished, and let's take a look at that sparkle. Oh, it gets me every time. This next page is going to be my future log for 2022. I decided just to write out the 12 months and the calendar dates here. I know that many people choose to use stamps or stickers, and that doesn't hurt the hand as much, but this was the fastest way just to get this done, and I really like the way this page turned out. My 2022 title page, quote page, and this future log will be the only layouts that get dedicated pages at the beginning of my bullet journal this year. This is something completely new that I'm trying this year, and I'm excited to see if it works out for me. Last year, I got kind of frustrated flipping through so many yearly layouts before I could actually get to my monthly layouts. And when I was attempting to use my grid spacing guide, I really struggled flipping back and forth to where I was currently planning versus going back to the beginning of my journal to find what grid spacing I needed. So this year, everything else aside from these dedicated layouts will be separate pages that I will put in the folder that I put in the front cover. And I'm really excited to see if this works well for me or if I'll want to try something new, likely when I switch bullet journals at the halfway point of this year when this one is full. Now that we have our title stamped on this page, we are almost finished. I think this turned out great, and I love the way the cursive month script looks, even though I messed up in a few places, but you'll never know unless I point it out to you, or you have a really good eye. Anyways, let's add a few decorations to this page and call it done. So now that I'm done with the main layouts in my journal, I'm moving on to tackle the separate layouts that will live inside the folder inside the cover of my journal. These will be a grid spacing guide, a marker swatch guide, as well as a period tracker at the yearly level. This first layout I'm working on is my grid spacing guide, and this year I'm trying something completely different. I'm using a size A5 sheet of paper with grid spacing for my B5 journal. The reason I'm doing this is just to make this grid spacing guide a little bit more manageable to use and kind of more geared towards like a cheat sheet versus a full-on page in my notebook. This was a little bit difficult because the pages don't have the same amount of grid spacing, so everything I'm recording on this sheet is for my B5 size journal, but the grid spaces don't actually line up. So if you count it out, you know, top to bottom, there are not 46 grid spaces. So in that respect, this was difficult, but all in all, I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I think this is going to make planning a lot easier, so that I can pull this out of the folder and have it alongside me as I'm planning without having to flip back and forth. That's the goal. I'm not going to go in depth in explaining how to create this grid spacing guide. There are many videos on YouTube from many different creators who can explain this a lot better than I can, so my first recommendation would be to go look up one of those videos. However, if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. If anyone is interested in hearing how I specifically translated my B5 grid spacing into this A5 size, or if you have any questions on how to create one of these smaller cheat sheets for yourself, go ahead and put those questions or comments in the comment section as well, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or even create a video on how to create this mini cheat sheet if there's enough interest. Now I'm working off of the back of my grid spacing guide to create a swatch guide for just my Tombow felt tip markers. I thought this would complement the grid spacing guide really well when I'm setting up new monthly plans or really anything in my journal, to have that grid spacing guide and my swatch guide all in one sheet of paper. And what I'm doing here is just swatching my markers in, I guess, kind of a rainbow order and listing the marker number next to it so I can find it easily when I want to use it. This is something I didn't have last year, and every time I created a new layout, I was always swatching markers to find ones that matched and to match whatever other materials I wanted to use for that layout. So I think this is going to really come in handy this year when I am looking to create color palettes. I don't have a lot of Tombow markers, so these all fit really nicely on this one sheet, and there is room to add some should I acquire any more markers in 2022. Now I'm just adding a title to this layout, and I really dislike the way this is turning out, but I don't want to redo it. It's on the back of my grid spacing guide, so we're going to keep moving forward. Now I'm moving on to work on my period tracker, and this will be at a year view instead of a month view. I mainly track this as well as symptoms at a monthly view, but I really thought this small sheet would be helpful to give me a year view and to be able to take out of my journal if I should need to have any discussion with my doctor versus bringing my whole bullet journal into the doctor's office and flipping through. So I'm hoping this will just be something handy that can live in the folder inside my front cover. And this white sheet of paper I'm working off of is a layout I attempted but screwed up on. There have been so many mistakes today, but that's okay. Since this is a standalone piece of paper, I just grabbed another craft sheet of paper to do a second take on, and so far it's going much better than the first. And the last thing I'll be doing for this layout is just adding our daily dots for each month to represent the number of days in each month. And that will conclude this layout. This is for function only, so we don't need to spend any time making it pretty. These are the only layouts I thought I would need to get started in 2022. I am both trying to take a minimal approach this year, but also track a few more things at the monthly level, so I think my monthly setups will likely be a little bit longer, but we'll see how that goes. And the last thing I'm doing now is just wrapping some washi tape around this clipboard to keep in my folder in case I should need any washi tape on the go. If you liked this video, please consider liking or subscribing. This is my very first YouTube video and my very first time showing anyone my bullet journaling process. But I am very excited to have you here, and I'm excited to bring you a lot more content. I am currently working on my January setup, even though today is January 1st. Shh, don't tell anyone. I will have that posted in a few days to share with you, and I am looking forward to it. Now let's take a look at our final flip through.